When we prevail, not if, when we prevail.
If they lose, you have to cosplay as Renekton.
Do I have to do this?
You lost the bet, man. I don't know what to tell you.
For Cloud9.
No,
Just...
with the sign. With the sign.
No, don't.
With the sign, Rafa.
The end is nigh for Cloud9. Destruction approaches, chaos will follow, all will suffer as I have. Renekton is the best champion in the game. You can pick Renekton at any stage in the draft. There's never a bad time for Renekton pick. Oh my god, Renekton is our Lord and Savior. Are you happy?
Yeah, that'll work. And with that, welcome everybody to week 5 of Academy. Shoutouts to Rafa for really committing to that one. He, of course, bet that Cloud9 would go undefeated throughout Super Week, but was wrong in that. But now we got a new week ahead of us, Mazel. I'm hosting Stream A, you're hosting Stream B, and we're back for another week of Academy. Second round robin.
To actually be able to see the second round robin coming through here. Sorry, I believe I was muted, but we're gonna get right to it because we got the Proving Grounds qualifier 2 that happened, and a lot of teams qualifying for the Proving Grounds. So a lot of teams here. 100 Thieves next, obviously going through there. 2 Maryville squads as the Secret Weapon squad making it through as well. No team, a lot of big ones.
Yeah, so I actually have an updated graphic for that as well that we don't have for the show, but we have all 4 groups as well, so make sure that you go check out the unified Twitter page so you can see how the groups shaked out to be. Group B in particular, it's got Immortals, AoE, and EGP, so 2 LCS-backed orgs and their amateur rosters in the same group. That's always going to make things pretty exciting there.
Bogged with the dog photo, sold me. I'm good. That's my team. I'm backing you forever.
That's the thing about amateur is like the logos are always much more unique than we have at the LCS and Academy level. So shout out to all the amateur teams. But yeah, make sure that you're checking that out. We got to keep track of the OQs. But with that said, there's also another thing that happened this last week, Mazel. A little holiday. Valentine's, right?
We got flooded with these cards,
so many letters.
Yeah, so many letters, and like Dignitas went out of their way to make sure we felt loved on Valentine's Day, because I know that these were all for us, the Academy stream. And they are wonderful. You see, XU, he'll always gank your lane.
Exactly.
And that Darkwing's love being as deep as his champ pool, that's pretty deep.
This is the true one. This is the true homie right here, though. Mama Bear JJ flashing the block Jingle. So
we had to respond. Of course.
Yeah, we can't just let those Valentine's cards go unresponded.
You know what they say in like elementary, like you have to bring a card for everybody. Like we had to have a card.
Yeah.
For them.
If you're gonna bring something, share it with the class. If you're gonna bring Valentine's cards, you have to bring it for everybody, and of course, for France.
For France, everybody. The most romantic thing ever. I mean, come on, bread, France, the Louvre, can't get better than that.
But that wasn't the only wholesome and romantic thing that happened last week, Mazel.
We had a buddy moment, a wondrous romantic moment between Bradley and Viper that we're gonna go ahead and bring up for you, because it's not often you get to see love on the rip between 2 opponents, but a little bit of Romeo and Juliet, maybe.
This is equality in love right here, everybody. This is 2 partners that are dancing together. They agreed to meet at this location at this time, and it's beautiful. I love to see that coming in from the players. We don't get that often in pro play anymore.
You don't indeed. It's always nice. I do also believe we have gotten a little excerpt from Mr. Concept on Immortals.
So if you haven't been following on Twitter, make sure that you follow the Immortals team, because they're actually putting out some videos of players' thoughts after each match.
IMT Reacts.
IMT Reacts, exactly. So check those out. We're actually going to run a clip of Concept, because he had a lot of interesting thoughts after their match.
Concept, I'm the top laner on Immortals Academy. We just finished playing a 2-game series against Golden Guardians Academy, and unfortunately we went 0-2. Today wasn't really our best day. I think on a better day we could have been able to even go 2-0 against them, but in our first game we were in a winning position even without playing very well, and then we kind of choked a bit, and then game 2, unfortunately, we kind of fell apart. So not really our day. Hopefully we'll come back much stronger next week and be able to do better in the future.
So the thing I like about that most, Mazel, is just how honesty is in that. Is like, even in game 1, we found ourselves in a winning position when it didn't really, earn it.
Yeah.
And just that raw honesty coming from a player, it shows that there's a lot of growth.
That's a
growth
theme
potential
in the INT Reacts thing. Obviously, they've had a couple rough weeks, and it's so interesting. I love that kind of behind-the-scenes look, seeing the actual reactions from the players post-game and seeing what their feelings are. It's always so interesting to me because that's an important part of the game, even though it's just video games. But something else, we're going to go ahead and throw it to our fellow peer in Joshi because he's got a video breaking down a little bit of information about CLG.
Before the beginning of the split, most people, even the faithful, were expecting that CLG were going to end up being middle of the pack. However, they have far exceeded expectations and have had a 14-4 start to the season. Pivotal to their success thus far has been the fact that Rosethorn's adaptable pathing and early game planning has allowed him to come from a lot of unexpected angles and find some great early game leads for the team. Let's take a look at some games from Super Week to show what we mean. Sometimes it's as simple as knowing when to have priority and committing to the play. Here, Triple, after already pushing things in, immediately moves over in order to try and attack Tomio. Once they actually find him, with the red buff, they know it's easy to run him down after grabbing the flash with the red buff in order to get first blood. Let's step it up a notch. Here, Rosethorn understands that the opposing mid laner has just warded his Raptors, and he is doing it in full vision. This is typical of a jungler who's going to be doing the red, Krugs, Raptors, and then moving towards the top side of the map in order to full clear, meaning that most ganks are not likely to happen until the 3:15 minute mark. However, Rosethorn knows this, and by looping all the way around mid lane, he's going to be coming in from an extremely unexpected angle, making the mid lane play that Triple's already going for into a deadly first blood. That's some adaptability. You didn't already think it was hard to track Rosethorn? He runs circles around Dignitas in game 2. Renekton shows top lane with Rage, leaving absolutely no doubt that he leashed. Rosethorn then clears towards the bottom side of the map, and bottom lane holds the wave steady to keep their options open. CLG wants to avoid jungle interaction, so Rosethorn doubles back and heads top, the opposite place he was expected to be. At the same time, bottom lane hard shoves before rotating to claim the bottom crab, entirely avoiding XQ's attempted gank, allowing Dokla and Rosethorn to find yet another first blood, giving up nothing. Rosethorn's adaptable plans and pathing that is ridiculously difficult to track has led CLG to getting first blood in 13 of their 18 games, and a gold lead at 8 minutes in 16 of them. Individually, Rosethorn comes in at second for highest gold lead at 14 minutes for junglers, but he comes in as the #1 for kills plus assists and an outstanding 71% kill participation over the same time period. It's yet to be seen. Is there any team that's going to be able to stop CLG and their early game onslaught? Find out next time on the Rest of Academy.
Man, first blood in that many games.
Yeah. Oh man, I always love hearing from Joshi. I love these little videos we've been able to get going because it's always so nice to get a little bit deeper of a dive. Also, your cameo there at the beginning.
I did notice that. The faithful, they threw me in there. But I mean, CLG Academy are just that far ahead of everybody else in the league currently. So it's awesome to hear Joshi break down one of the big factors behind that. Obviously, there's multiple reasons, but Rosethorn has been absolutely performing right now in this early season, and it's really cool as a player to see his development from year over year with Golden Guardians last year and now CLG Academy here. So yeah, I think that this kid's got a bright future ahead of him.
He does indeed. Does have a lot going for him as well. Somebody else who has a lot going for him. We got to catch up, Kangas. We got to catch up because I'm gonna hand it off to you this time. I'm gonna bestow the birthday gifting over to you because we have a birthday to catch up on.
I'm not gonna sing.
You're not going to sing,
everybody.
Oh
Don't worry, but we do have to catch up on birthdays that happened this last week because we did have one. I believe it's a top laner for 100 Thieves Academy, Gamsu, with his birthday this last weekend. Or last week, I don't remember the exact day, but either way, happy birthday,
I'm
Gamsu.
pretty sure it was on Valentine's Day. I'm pretty sure it was the 14th, if I remember correctly. But yeah,
birthday on Valentine's Day. That's one of those like tricky ones because like if you have a significant other, do you have to get something for them? Do they have to get something for you? I can pull it up really quick,
but yeah, it's always nice. I just love being able to shout out some birthdays and stuff, even if we don't get to broadcast every single day. But now the nitty gritty, Kangas, because we've gotten all the fun out of the way. We've gotten the community content. Dignitas sending us a bunch of Valentines. Now the standings.
We got a schedule. We got actual games ahead of us. Oh,
the
standings
standing.
first, right? You're right. You're right. Let's take a look at it. We were just talking about CLG being at the top of them, and by a couple of games, mind
So
you.
when
Golden
are they getting
Guardians
nerfed,
right
Kangas?
behind.
Because 78% win rate, I know in League of Legends is something that Riot
Yeah,
wants to
that's not
stay away
acceptable.
from. We need to get the need to get the
Exactly.
nerfs going. I mean, a lot of these teams seem to need to get the nerf bad, but yeah, it's been a very interesting ride so far.
We still have that clump in the middle, though. There's a lot of teams that are in that playoff race. Even FlyQuest Academy down in 9th place right now. They're only 2 games behind the next teams in front of them, 3 games behind a playoff, or rather, an auto qualification into Proving Grounds. There are no more Academy playoffs, but top 6 will auto qualify for Proving Grounds. Bottom 4 have to go through the Proving Grounds qualifiers, of course. So it's a tight race for making that top 6 right now, but the race at the top, it's getting wider. But Cloud9, they're climbing, man. I mean, they had a 5-1 weekend. They were 5-7 going into Super Week and had a huge surge right there. So I think Cloud9 Academy are definitely a team to watch, and obviously a lot of fans will be watching them as well.
Absolutely, it's starting to matter more and more as we get closer to the season ending. At least that you really got to start getting these points together. You got to start getting those 2 O's together and making sure the team is looking
Bring
so
'em in.
nice. But Kangas, you mentioned at the beginning of the stream that you are going to be on stream A, so let's go ahead and break down some of your games here as we're going to.
Now let's take a look at the schedule. It
There
is
you
now
go.
time, everybody. I baited you earlier, but this is what will happen on twitch.tv/academy. If you already have that Twitch stream open, that is fantastic. If you don't, and if you're on the Face It TV, make sure to have both streams open so you can catch all the action. But we'll have 100 Thieves versus TSM, EG FlyQuest, and then CLG Immortals. That last game of the day going to be very exciting to see if CLG can keep their win streak
Yeah,
going.
and IMT really wanting to prove themselves, right? You hear from their players every week. It's like, this is disappointing. We cannot have these kinds of results going. But on stream 2, that's right, we got 2 streams. Twitch.tv/FaceItTV. We got Golden Guardians Academy taking on Team Liquid Academy, and Cloud9 Academy taking on Dignitas. That matchup so fiery.
So the big thing here, Team Liquid, Ayla's back, baby.
Ayla's
Ayla's
back,
going to
baby.
be playing in Academy now because Core JJ got his green card. So that means Team Liquid Academy, that were already looking decent, should theoretically, now with all their pieces together finally, have this opportunity to show, okay, this is what the intended original roster was meant to be going into the year, and show up against the Golden Guardians, who have been having a pretty decent season themselves as well. 2nd place. Mind you, Golden Guardians Academy, they've been looking hot lately.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Stream A as well. You get to cover Shen Yi, and I'm a little sad.
True.
As he's going to be subbing in for TSM Academy. So whatever, Kangas. I'm not upset or anything. If you want to follow all that action, see
this
who's subbing
hostility?
in, see who's coming in, see what teams are popping off, you got to go follow at Pat the LCS on Twitter. You literally have to. It's a contractual obligation now if you're going to be tuning into the Academy stream.
I think it just blanks out the Twitch stream if you're not also following Pat the LCS on Twitter. I'm pretty sure there's some weird bot that does that. But make sure to follow this for Academy amateur updates, and also just all the fun content that the community makes.
Yeah.
We like retweeting player content, team content, all
And
that
with Champions
stuff.
Q, we got content all day. It's great. You get to see the
True.
players interacting all the time. So Kangas, I was handed. So I originally had a rubber band. See, it's very simple. Kangas decided to come
How do
give
you
me
get a workout
workout
with this?
equipment.
How do you get a pump?
I don't know what
How
to
do you get a
do
pump,
with both
Lennon?
of them, but we got to do the stream split. So I don't know how
right.
you want to do this.
We're gonna do
but-
alternating motions.
All
We're gonna
right,
be
what you
opening
got?
up our hands with the rubber band, and we're gonna be closing our hands
all right,
with
all
the
right,
grippers.
all right. We're doing it. We're doing
All
it.
right, this is how we're splitting the stream,
Make
everybody.
sure-
We'll see you back
Make sure you go
on our
tune in.
individual streams.
Got to go watch both streams. Bye.
Welcome back, everybody, as we're getting ready for Game 1 of Day 1 of Week 5 for Academy broadcast here on twitch.tv/Academy. A reminder, make sure to pull up FaceIt TV if you don't already have the secondary stream up right now. But for this stream, we got Cubby, we got Magical on the desk with me. You guys got your hand and wrist warm-up implements also, right? We're all getting a little pump here together?
I didn't realize that it was a Kungus day, but I'll work on it as we get into some of these.
This is every day,
shows,
baby.
Yeah.
This is every day. This is hand and wrist strength, gamers. This is important.
I don't have
but
anything.
We do. I appreciate that you looked, though. I appreciate that you actually took in some effort. We have some games ahead of us with TSM versus 100 Thieves starting off the day. And already a big storyline breaking just yesterday. TSM have a different looking roster, Cubby. They do have a player from the LCS roster playing in Academy today.
Yeah, so this was announced yesterday, and I do want to reference there was some more details given by Dominic in a Discord for TSM. And I think the big thing that is pointed out is the fact that, you know, Shenyi is still adapting to North America, and sometimes that does take a little bit of time. He specifically referenced their comm structure and said that the more games going to help Shenyi get used to the comms and also take some stress off of him as he's still transitioning to North America. I know that TSM have struggled a little bit at both levels. Of course, their Academy team sitting at 5-13 at the bottom of our standings. Also, they competed in lock-ins and make it to playoffs. Now, the full TSM lineup is also sitting at 0-4 in LCS at the moment. So, I think that some of these changes are more towards making sure that Shenyi feels comfortable and less like a gut reaction or just immediate, all right, guys, we have to fix stuff and make some changes. Because, honestly, I don't really expect there to see many of these Academy members in the LCS, but we will be seeing Yurson this weekend, and now we're going to have to see if Shenyi can start to show some better things and some more things for TSM Academy as he tries to hop on in and, hey, potentially help get this team out of 10th place as well.
Exactly. The team currently in 10th place, and as we look at some of their past games and some of the past footage that we have on the team, again, sparks we can see occasionally, but overall things have not been coming together. But now with this roster swap Magical, that's a lot more reps for Shenyi. This is double the games he's going to play on stage.
Exactly. It gives him a lot more they can actually do, but I really kind of just want, especially looking at these replays, to focus on Takeover before we get to Shenyi, because I look at how TSM have been performing and how well they've been able to do, and Takeover himself in this mid lane has been able to do a lot of work. He's been able to get a lot of solo kills for a team that's in last place, where he is taking over control. But it's about communication that we were talking about, even with the main TSM team, where they need to just get this communication up a little bit more if they want to have better success. And maybe bringing Shenyi in, having him have a little bit more time in Academy, might be able to facilitate more success in LCS too.
Yeah, every org has a different approach to how they view Academy and what the purpose of their Academy rosters is, so it's interesting to see now another curveball thrown our way. But 100 Thieves, their opposition on the Rift, Cubby, a big team that are currently still top 4 in the standings. We expect a lot from this organization in Academy based on last year's performance. And so far, what's our temperature check? Have they been meeting those?
I think that 100 Thieves are a team that's still somewhat coming together. I know that Busio was a bit of a later addition as he's played just over half their games and now will be here for the full round robin. But I think it's a team, it's a bit interesting to see where their success is coming from, because it feels like Wixie and Busio have actually been doing pretty well in the 2v2. There have been multiple games where they've been able to pick up 2v2 kills, and I think that is surprising for some, whereas I feel like Gamsu in the top lane had some struggles, especially this past Super Week. So I'm kind of looking for 100 Thieves to start to shore up their play. It also feels like they're kind of a feast or famine team around Kenvi at the moment, who is still that big star, still that big driving factor for this roster. And they run at his tempo. Some games have been really good. Even thinking back to where 100 Thieves was rolling TSM earlier in the season, where Kenvi really got the best of Hyper in their first round-robin matchup. But there have been other games where Kenvi doesn't get that same lead, and they've been playing a lot of comps that really focus on attacking side lanes, getting ahead early, and then, you know, are able to utilize that to kind of bully their way around the map and find skirmishes. I mean, this comp, Renekton, TF, Braum, like, yeah, TF some engage, but you're not playing a massive engage support. And so I think that when 100 Thieves do make a couple slip-ups in the early game, it gets a lot harder for them because they aren't taking just a huge engage and go button, and we've seen them kind of struggle to play around that at times.
The thing that I want to note from this play in particular, though, is how willing everybody is to back up Jimian. Everybody collapses in this play, Magical. And I think it's cool that we are starting to see that 100 Thieves, yes, they still have these strong individual members, but they're getting some team play now.
Yeah, and I think it kind of goes back to what Cubby was just saying, how they play around the side lanes. When they draft, they try to draft for Jimian to be able to play around those. The TF is something that's been really successful. His Ryze, he's played with Ryze the most, and one of the few players to actually have wins on Ryze here in Academy. And it's just, that's how they play. That's when they find the most success, is when they can put Jimian on something that can roam, help out Gomsu in the top lane. But then you look to the bot lane in Wixie and Busio and how strong those players are as well. They just need to play to that position where they can set up Jimian to be able to rotate down towards them and actually find these plays.
Yeah, it's multiple roaming threats. Jimian can get around the map. Kenvi, like Cubby was just saying, can get around the map. So let's talk about from TSM Academy's perspective then. Hyper, this is a tough jungle matchup for him, Cubby. What do we think about this younger player on TSM Academy and how they can answer the aggression that we see from 100 Thieves across the map?
Yeah, so one of the reasons that I find the support swap so interesting between Shenyi and Yurson is, A, the fact that it is the first swap that we're having amongst Academy and LCS. I know that Ayla as well, but we also expected Ayla to be in this position at the start of the year. But also, I think that one of the issues that TSM have ran into, it's Academy. We don't love to kind of focus or harp on standings, but when a team is at the bottom of the standings, we have to look for reasons why. And I think that Hyper and Yurson have really struggled to be on the same page. So something that I am really looking out for today, I know that TSM and Dominic specifically highlighted comm structure and helping, Shenyi get a hold of not even only just English, but just playing in a team that communicates in English as well, right? So I'm really going to be looking out for, can Shenyi and Hyper sync up? I know they haven't had a ton of practice together, but it's something that TSM Academy have struggled with. And in their single win they got in the 6 games they played in Super Week this past week, the one time they were able to pick up that game was when Hyper and Yurson were able to move around the map together. So that's really where my big focus is going to be, and see if they can support Takeover, who has had some good lanes and has had some nice moments so far this Academy season.
And of course, watch Shenyi, how he's able to maybe show improvement from even the LCS stage and how he shakes up against the Academy players now on 100 Thieves. With that said, though, I'm hearing that we're ready for pick and ban, so I'm going to pass it over to you, Magical, to take us away for the beginning of the day and game 1 of Week 5.
Thank you so much, Kangas. It's good to have you here. I don't get to have you as the host much. I've been with Lennon a lot, but I also enjoy having him too. But I'm excited. We got to start off the second part of the round robin. We got to see how these teams have really grown, and we had already talked about it. We've got 2 supports that are slightly new for each of these organizations. Busio stepping in for Sword, but he was meant to be the starter, while Shenyi starting support for Team TSM, now here in Academy to try to see if he can get a little bit more accustomed to the squad.
Yeah, and for Shenyi, I think that a lot of TSM fans, might be kind of questioning the change, but this is still a very young player. With FPX's LDL roster, FPX Blaze, in 2020 and now 2021, we've seen Shenyi really excel at those engaged champions. That's what he made a name for himself on. Funnily enough, what we always credit Yurson for as well with TSM Academy. So I believe that Shenyi does bring some more flexibility to this team and is a player that played at an extremely high level in LDL. And we're looking forward to seeing what Shenyi can do as he continues to adapt to North America. And honestly, up against Wixie and Busio, already really going to be put to the test as they've been playing 2v2s very well in the 10 games they've been together so far in Academy.
Yeah, and here they've already got Instinct on Jin. They've got the Caitlyn that wasn't banned since Thresh was taken away from Busio. But that's probably going to be what we'd expect, the Caitlyn Lux bot lane that gets drafted by 100 Thieves. And I'm really curious to see what Shenyi is going to grab with this Jhin. If they're going to go for more of the typical Enchanter, or if they're going to try to see if they can just match up against this aggression in the bot lane, try to find the picks. I know you got a little excited there by the hover, but Kenvi's just on Viego.
You know what? Whenever I see a new champ for Kenvi, I always get excited. Unfortunately, for me, it is going to be the Viego, which has been his most played so far this season, and he has played very well. But we see the response immediately, Mad Magical. It's not going to be that aggression that we were potentially expecting from Shenyi. Instead, it's going to be matching that, I guess not really matching a Lux, but more so bringing some scaling over to TSM Academy, something that we aren't used to seeing from the squad that usually really focuses on the early game in the Yuumi.
Yeah, it is a little interesting, and I'm curious to see what Takeover is going to take into this mid lane. With the Soraka ban, with the LeBlanc ban, Defy Takeover, do they go for the Enchanter mid?
It seems like Hunter Thieves are a little bit scared of potentially a double Enchanter setup. Now, with the LeBlanc and Twisted Fate bans, that honestly tells me they might want to flex Akali. This is something that TSM specifically can do very well. And Hunter Thieves do read it as it has been one of Viper's best champions and something that we do know Takeover for as well. But you teased it out, Mad Magical, that we could see a supportive mid laner with a Soraka ban. This would be a very different look for Takeover. I know that Ivern has really been invading a lot of scrims. And looks like TSM.
Well, wait.
The
timer's still going down. All right, there it is. So not going to be the Ivern mid. We're not seeing the Vern. Instead, it's Syndra for Takeover. This is more of a Takeover style champion, though, than Ivern. I mean, not necessarily like looking for solo kills all the time, but the pressure that you're able to place in the mid lane and then try to roam around the map is much more what we'd expect.
I know that Yubi is a scaler, but I want to see Hunter Thieves almost just take a tank here. That Graves, for me, it's a little bit curious for Gamsu. Actually, this Gragas would make a lot more sense with the pairing because Syndra Jhin, that's a pretty low damage combo. It's a lot of burst and upfront damage with a Syndra. You can buy a lot of space, but if you're able to survive that initial burst and play for the later fights, you do have more DPS when you go for something like a Kate, like a Victor as these fights extend. So that's why I was kind of looking for a tank in the top lane. Instead, will be the Graves, and Jimmy will be pulling out that Victor. As I expect this Tryndamere to be locked in, and honestly, given the fact that it is a Graves versus Tryndamere top, I think that TSM Academy have given themselves some nice outs, some nice win conditions in this draft.
Yeah, I like this. This is a good draft by them. The only thing is, as you had talked about before, it is something that needs to scale a little bit more. They need to make sure that they're not falling behind early on. They're getting good plays. They're setting themselves up. So that way they can just continue to scale up and be a team that really can't be toppled by 100 Thieves.
And it's all going to come from that bot lane with the Kate and the Lux. We've credited Wixie and Busio for how well they've been able to play the 2v2 so far this season. And I think for fans at home, we really can't highlight this enough. Busio, a former challenger mid laner that competed in the amateur circuit, he almost made scouting grounds as a mid laner. I know that from talking with 100 Thieves going into this past offseason, so 2021, he was very high on their list, not only for a support candidate, but also as a mid lane candidate. So Busio, fantastic mechanics, and now we get to see him on that mid lane mage style of play with the Lux. I really want to see if him and Wixie can kind of live up to what we've been hyping them up for, which is this really mechanically intensive, really talented 2v2 lane that 100 Thieves is looking to get even more out of. They've had a good start to the season, but a good shot to bash this bot lane as they have a favorable early game matchup, and they're against a team that is still trying to find their identity in the early Academy season.
The only thing that I have when I look towards 100 Thieves is how almost counter logic they've been with their wins. Finding wins against top teams, beating CLG, but then losing to some bottom teams. And that's the thing we need to see them really be able to shore up going into this game. Not necessarily drop these games, really just focus down how they're going to play League of Legends cleanly, especially because TSM, this is the second part of the round robin. This is their time to shine and really bounce back.
I like the fact you bring that up, too, because I think that Kennedy and Jimian are still trying to find their way, still trying to come together as a duo. I know that Jimian, of course, still working on English and picking that up. And I also with Kenvi, we expect so much out of this player. And he is someone that we firmly believe should be playing in LCS and is good enough to do that now, but Kenvi wanting to find that right home for himself, playing an Academy for another year. He has been doing good things. He is third in gold differential at 14 amongst all junglers, averaging being up over 150 gold at that time. But we've seen some games where Kenvi gets some leads and does what Kenvi usually does, which is win the rest of the game for your team. And we've seen some other games where Kenvi has not been able to get a lead and has struggled and floundered, or games where he has gotten a small lead and hasn't been able to convert that, which we're not used to seeing from this player. So I think that as they figure out that mid-jungle identity, that's where we're going to see 100 Thieves really emerge to be at the top of the standings, which is what we expect from this team to start off Academy.
And Jimian is someone who does like to play around the side lanes, roaming around with Kenvi. And if they can make sure that they are a solid unit, consistency, when they look for those plays, That is how 100 Thieves are going to be able to find the success. But then I flip it over. I look towards TSM and where they can find success. We've talked a lot about Instinct in the past, and now here with Shenyi, I'm really curious because they have that scaling bot lane, but it's still something that's powerful. Something like Jhin that can kind of match the range that Caitlyn provides in this lane phase.
And you're going to see in this matchup, Shenyi, this level 1, see how aggressive he's able to play this. He's really going for those procs, and he's able to trade out the autos rather nicely. So well played for Shenyi. As we look at the rest of this map, we do have the junglers starting on the top side. This Graves Tryndamere matchup, one that we've seen a lot of, especially over in LCK. That's one where Graves is going to get shoved and play, have it advantage early. But also we're going to see that Tryndamere at one point be able to outscale and be able to attack Gamsu on this Graves if he isn't careful. And that's why he has to match the Ghost. Because if Tryndamere is able to get that advantage, he can just pop Ghost and run the Graves down.
And when that happens, we'll see the power that Tryndamere lords over something like a Graves. But it's still Gamsu playing this lane, and we've seen that Gamsu has really, and I've said this a couple times, that he has really ballooned outside of that comfort zone that we had seen from him when he first joined with the 100 Thieves, right? When he was playing more of the tanks, he was playing more to facilitate the rest of the team. Now he feels more empowered, like his old self. We can play things like Jace, like Graves, and actually have good lanes, even when it's into something that you would consider bad lanes, such as into the Tryndamere.
And I like Viper using the level up to attack Gamsu on the push. Did get a ward on the Krug, so that will tell 100 Thieves that Hyper, I should say, did skip over that camp. And you can see the 100 Thieves bot lane. They've already prepped a Trinket ward on the bot Crab. And it looks like we might have, if Hyper goes for this, he has to be careful, because if Lux and Caitlyn rotate, he will be outnumbered for this Crab, and we're seeing 100 Thieves utilize that bot priority to try and get themselves this lead, try and get themselves this first play in the early game, and will get this Crab successfully.
Great control coming in from Kenby, utilizing that bot lane, forcing Hyper to try to book it towards the top lane so that he can get that Scuttle Crab. But I wouldn't be surprised if Kenby tried to match that. The only problem is that now Gamsu is getting shoved back by Viper. It would be a bad situation to find yourself in.
Yeah, Kenby won't be able to pick that up, and he won't go for it, but it does help him as...
Wixie Busio, first blooding poor Instinct, and Shenyi trying his best to battle back, even with an exhaust. The Ignite ticking will take a kill onto Wixie, but he's still going to die. It's 2 kills for 100 Thieves.
At least Shenyi is able to trade that one back, and we teased how good this bot lane has been as a duo so far in Academy. And it's good to see them utilize this Kate Lux matchup to make sure that they're getting an early lead. Really well played by Wixie and Busio. As Busio made that happen, landing the root on the Instincts to get another look. Yeah, just not respecting the brush. They do drop the trinket, but still goes for the trades. And Wixie and Busio just step up and take him down.
I think that was also really smart from Busio. If you watch how the play initially started, where he threw out his E instead of going for the stun. So you saw that Instinct was like, okay, I'm going to dodge it. And then in reality, it wasn't that. So he got slowed. He gets stunned right afterwards. It was really good layering of CC coming in from Busio.
There's a reason we're so excited about this bot lane for 100 Thieves Academy, as we weren't expecting them to do as well as they have been in spring, given that they are both new to Academy. But it's really good to see some of these young talents that have been hyped up. I know Wixie at Scouting Grounds had a fantastic showing, was one of the best team fighting marksmen there. Busio, of course, someone that 100 Thieves made sure to keep a part of their organization, promoting him early from 100 Thieves Next so that he wouldn't be opened up to go to Scouting Grounds and potentially land on another team. The investment from 100 Thieves in that bot lane seems to be paying off in this season, and good to see them continue that good play here, as we did tease that with 100 Thieves as a squad, we're looking for Jimmy and Kenby to continue to find that synergy, continue to be able to work together. And with that bot lane winning, this could be a good game for them to do so, because if they're able to put that together, the map could get really narrow for TSM really quickly here.
And we're starting to see that Hyper is looking for these plays and trying to make sure that doesn't get narrowed, but Kenby is reading these so well. Even with the dive coming in from Hyper onto Wixie, he was able to dodge away and get the flash out of Hyper immediately.
With
the stun, the flash too for Kenby to pick up a kill easily, while mid lane takeover gets nearly taken down by Jimmy.
So with Caitlyn, when you are able to utilize those traps, you can kind of extend terrain in a way. Wixie able to do it with that wall there, just putting 2 traps on the corner, make sure that Hyper, he just didn't see it when he was able to flash, gets caught by it. So now Kenby does posture for the dive. They aren't able to connect with it, but the damage is still already done. Kenby getting that lead onto Hyper, not only in the tempo with how he's been taking the camps in that first crowd, but now with a kill as well.
Now, this is going to be rough. We talked about how TSM are a team that needs to scale. This is a composition that wants to get towards the later stages of the game, mid to late. And falling this far behind this early on, given all the advantages over to Kenvi, over to Wixie and Busio especially.
So see that trap? Oh, I think he got creep blocked into it when he flashed. Oh, that's really unlucky for Hyper. As it's still, I do want to credit Wixie for that trap. That's pretty standard, like Caitlyn coaching stuff, when you're able to extend walls. We see it all the time around turrets. Good to see him prep that one, though, when the gank was coming in. He really caught Hyper off guard.
And now Hyper is set for, I mean, it doesn't seem like it in the CS. He's doing a good job in keeping up with Kenvi. But map pressure, that's something that you were just talking about. Look at how these lanes are going so far. Even Gamsu got a little bit of a freeze and a little bit of an advantage in XP over Viper here in top lane. Mid lane, we already saw that Jimmy nearly getting a solo kill on Takeover. Bot lane has been dominated by Wixie and Busio.
And this is not a good sign for TSM moving forward. Their only out in this game really feels like that Tryndamere in the side. And they do have a Yuumi. We know how hard Yuumi can scale, but you're still looking at a Victor. And Victor, with all the range, all the upfront damage he packs, it's going to be tough for TSM to operate in this game because Syndra Jhin as a duo, it's very CC focused, very low damage. And it feels like Viper in that side lane is really going to be the Hail Mary saving grace for TSM Academy's team. So I want to see if Hyper can somewhat attack top lane and maybe try and set up Viper for more success, because if the game continues how it is, once Caitlyn and Lux get freed up, the map is going to shrink drastically for TSM, and that's when things are going to get really hard.
And everyone always talks about the Trop that Caitlyn has, but she is a powerful late game threat as well. She's someone that if she can overcome that Trop, you're just not having any of the weaknesses that Caitlyn normally has when it comes to these games, and we're seeing that right now. This is a great lead for the spot lane as Hyper fights Kenvi on the other side, but he's a level down. Takeover still can't roam down to be able to back up his jungler.
And now Jimmy is almost obtained that E-Evolve too. So once the Victor gets that in the matchup, Syndra doesn't have priority anymore. So TSM in this early game, they just, because of the bot lane breaking, by the good play of Wixie and Busio, and then by the revisit from Kenvi, they've missed out on that window where they're going to get mid-priority. And now we're seeing Takeover really struggle as Jimmy, and look at him step up so aggressively. Oh, just zoning Takeover off that wave. Really well played by Jimmy.
It is. It denied a little bit of experience from him, gold as well, and then forces Takeover to have to come in here just to clear out the wave the best he can. Jimmy's getting a lot of advantages in the mid lane just from how he's playing up aggressively.
Is even trying to pull the wave, get a control ward, and when you're even at this stage of the matchup, you are ahead as the victor. So good early play from Jimmy, as now I'm interested to see what Hyper's next move is. Now, fortunately for TSM at the moment, 100 Thieves never rotated for this Rift Herald. They want to keep that Caitlyn Lux bot to try and zone out that TSM bot lane, which they're doing so successfully at the moment. You can see Kenvi, he was faking the dive, actually recalled early, but it's more plates and more XP going over to the Caitlyn. The trade's going to be this Rift Herald. I want to see if TSM can use this to try and free up Hyper, because if Caitlyn Lux are able to get that first turret without a response from TSM, they just get to rotate and take the rest of the outer turrets on their own. That's going to make things so difficult for TSM in this game. So I think it's really important that we see Hyper make a good play top lane, try and use that Rift Herald to match the break that 100 Thieves are going for on the bot side.
That's something that we've kind of seen before in some of these wins that TSM have been able to get. The Hyper Viper duo, this aggressive top lane style where they try to go for these invades. They try to see if they can make plays early on, but we just haven't seen it enough. And here, with that Rift Herald, with Viper having the advantageous matchup in Gamsu, I agree. I want to see Hyper start to visit the top lane. You have a pretty decent push coming in from Gamsu. That's a great lane to punish.
And this has been something that, like, with TSM, we just have kind of seen them struggle with, and that's something that when we look at Hyper and Kenvi, with the early season they had, we are through the first round robin. At the moment, both of them are averaging 2.1 kills plus assists at the 14-minute mark. But Kenvi is doing this, averaging being up in gold. Hyper is tied for 8th in gold differential at 14. So while it's Kenvi, him being up in gold, it's 168. That's in 3rd compared to junglers. So I think that Hyper, like, some of the issues that TSM have had is that it's either Hyper's first move. When it doesn't work, he doesn't really know how to recover, or he's giving up too much for those first moves, and that gets punished by enemy junglers. Now, this game he's been able to match. We've just seen, once again, his first move bot get countered by Kenvi. Is now his second, trying to make it work on the Jimmy.
Yeah, but he goes for the chickens instead.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the minion wave. It was mostly cleared by Jimian. Would have been a really difficult dive, especially with the gravity well from Jimian on Victor. But it's at least something attempted. I still need to see what TSM are going to do, though. They've got this top lane now favoring Gamsu, because look at that item that he's just built. He's got himself a Hull Breaker to try to combat Tryndamere and really keep him pinned in this lane and no flexibility to move around.
Yeah, so we've seen this now be the build or the adaptation in this matchup, especially with some of the changes that we have had to other items that are strong on these champions, with Goredrinker and Sterix both being nerfed on this patch. A Hullbreaker got incredibly efficient as Ghost matched.
Yeah, Ghost has been matched, but look at how little damage he's doing to Gamsu at the moment. Flashed away. Now he doesn't have the ult. Where's the ult coming in from Gamsu? The trade back in with collateral damage nearly was enough, but not quite.
He was able to weave in the Q. Maybe he gets that kill, but not the case. And now for Viper, if he's able to get that wave for free, he will get the Rage back. Will be able to utilize that Frenzy, I should say, on Tryndamere to get the health back. And that's why this matchup gets difficult for Graves. After this point, after the next base, Viper should be good to go. As we see Hyper trying to make a move, but Kenvi's here again.
And he's pinched between the two as well. Look at the damage coming in with the Heartbreaker flashed away by Hyper to make sure that he survives. That's a flash burn in this jungle, giving Kenvi a little bit of an advantage to continue forward onto Viper. Flash from Viper, but the flash coming in from Kenvi. The stab with the Blade of the Ruined King will take down the top lane.
And Viper and Hyper just not on the same page. Viper flashing in, trying to get back. Hyper didn't have the cooldowns to follow up. It's not done together. It gets punished by 100 Thieves and Kenvi, who not only take that kill on the top side, but also take this turret in the bot side. As all of a sudden, 100 Thieves have exploded this game into a 4K gold lead. And when we said that we wanted to see if Hyper and Viper could match that on the top side with a Rift Herald, well, we're 15 seconds away from plates dropping. Hyper's still holding on to that Rift Herald. He was never able to drop it to get plates for TSM Academy. So that play in the first place just has TSM Academy falling further and further behind from the consequences in the follow-up from 100 Thieves.
He's got to place it, too. He just has to use it here in mid lane.
There's no plates still.
Yeah, no plates will be grabbed by TSM. And even though it will get a charge, most likely, onto this tier 1 mid lane, it's not going to crack it. Not against the Victor. That's still a pretty healthy turret.
I am a fan of dropping Heralds to attack the Victor, to try and make... It's really tough to take the turret when Victor is up there, but have to do some more work here as Busio tries to guess the dodge from Viper. Unable to do so, but this is what we teased with Caitlyn getting out of lane, rotating around to take the rest of these outers. TSM's not responding to this, or they are late on the response. His Instinct, he just pushed out that wave and base as he is coming out of base. Plates are down, but this turret might be down even quicker as Shenyi and Viper are here to stick around to try and trade it, but because of the slow rotation from TSM, they give up the Dragon for nothing, and they're losing waves on the bot side, and now they're going to even lose this bot side jungle as well.
They're losing everything right now, Cubby. Everything is just gone from them. The Dragons, the Rift Herald only got a little bit of a charge, not even enough. Look at the damage there on the Instinct. Ace the whole body blocked by Shenyi, but that's going to force them out of lane. This Wixie duo in the bot lane is going to take another structure.
We can't really highlight enough that Busio was a challenger mid. I don't think that really goes into landing that combo, but just watching how comfortable Busio is on this Lux, on this Mage.
Well, maybe being the same level as your opponent ADC helps a bit. As
that too.
Yeah, just saying.
Lux does a lot of damage. If you hit the full combo, it's a lot.
And we saw that. Instinct took a lot of damage. If it wasn't for Shenyi body blocking the ace in the hole, would have been a dead Jhin. We're having a lot of problems right now for TSM where they're down 5,000 gold here, 16 minutes into the game. I'm just trying to struggle at the moment, trying to figure out what they can possibly do. Even Hyper right there has to use his ult just to survive.
Small thing from Busio there, but utilized the ult while he was stunned, kind of forcing the ult from Hyper on the follow-up to make sure that he couldn't do that before the white came out from Lux, so I do like that, and that's going to be enough to make sure that 100 Thieves are able to secure the second Rift Herald, which will certainly be used to take down that mid-outer turret, unless they might want to drop it in the side lane and look for one of those inners to push for more. But either way, the map is 100 Thieves at the moment.
I mean, do you remember what the original name for Lux's ult was?
No, that you're going to take me way back here.
Yeah, I'm going to take you way back. I'm trying to remember it myself. It was a German word. Legitimately, even in English, it was German. But we're going to have to put that on pause because right now, Gamsu hitting Dove, trying to dodge away as best he can. But it's 3 members looking to dive this Graves. He's been kiting for so long, but finally, he is killed off by Shinyi. Bucio on the other side.
No.
Wait a minute. Shinyi died to the turret, and even looking top lane, mid lane, everything is going awry for TSM.
I don't know how Shen Yi picked up aggro. Is a little bit unlucky, honestly, for the support of TSM. And now the consequences of that, we tease the Herald being dropped to take that mid-outer. It's going to get a crash on the inhibitor turret, too, as 100 Thieves. I mean, when you take a Kate Lux, this is like the dream early game scenario of your jungler just countering the other jungler. You just get to lane 2v2 in peace. And the strength of Wixie and Bucio, I know that we're in the second round robin, but this is a new bot lane in Academy. This is their first year here, and they're really taking it to Instinct and Shenyi in the 2v2, just like they've been doing to every other bot lane they've gone up against so far this Academy season.
It's giving a lot of control to 100 Thieves where they can make plays like that, where even if it's not them they can play, it was TSM. Gamsu kiting back for so long, and the rest of the team just winning on the map, getting turrets, getting plays where they're forcing flashes, forcing back these other members of TSM who are doing their best to defend the base. This is just giving more and more towards 100 Thieves.
And with this Hullbreaker match, the good thing for this matchup for Graves is that, in a sense, Tryndamere is kind of forced to match the Hullbreaker because it is such a stat check. And also, you just lose so much shove when the enemy cannon is so much stronger than yours. And that does delay the crit and delay some of the crit scaling items that Tryndamere is able to get. So we're seeing Graves be able to match him longer, and now 100 Thieves trying to match this Tryndamere. They want this inner.
That's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage on the Hyper and Viper. Look at them both booking it. With the, no
went fishing.
Connect there. He did. The final spark was nearly there from Bucio, but it's enough to force out the members of TSM, and another structure should fall.
So easy to snowball a game with Kate Lux if you are able to get a lead like this with all the range, all the siege potential they bring. It's been good to see 100 Thieves really cash in on this, as the way that Bucio and Wixie have been moving around the map together is so nice. And another example of that, going for this bot inner turret when the dragon's spawning. So now they just get to reset. They already have control over this bot side and can make sure they can net their 3rd dragon of the game. As we haven't even been able to really highlight the dragons with all the action that 100 Thieves have been creating elsewhere on the map around this objective. Is 6k gold, 7k gold lead, I should say. 3rd dragon looking to go over 100 Thieves uncontested, as it is the Hextech Soul. And 100 Thieves, or TSM, I should say, still scrambling for answers.
And the thing is, you look at the kills and you wouldn't think the gold lead is that massive, but then you notice the structures. You notice these neutral objectives that have been taken by 100 Thieves. That pressure, and then also, we haven't even talked about the CS differential in this spot lane between Wixie and Instinct. Well, Instinct has been able to keep it at 30. That's still a pretty big deficit to face against a Caitlyn. You can see that the gold is nearly 3,000 just between those two.
We have to be careful. I'm looking at the minimap. Viper might get caught out here.
Does have the ult, doesn't have Ghost. Flash is available. Flash out. Looking for the ult with a lot of damage. He doesn't have time to even pop it.
Oh, no. We're going to have to see if TSM can answer on the other side of the map, as Jimmy is being forced off of that turret and properly steps back. It's one of the issues with Victor. All the wave clear he packs with that Empowered Laser. He was able to clear out the wave, and now he's just using it to check the brushes as Jimmy. This is a good sign from him. Just, showing those retreats and some of that teamwork. We know that Jimmy's an incredibly talented individual player. He was runner-up in the PCS for MVP by the only one who beat him out for it was the MVP himself in Doggo, a name that many fans at home might recognize from his performance at Worlds and what he's been doing so far this season in the LPL. We know that Jimmy's good individually, but seeing some of these moments of teamwork, just knowing when to back off when the rest of his team is on that other side of the map. I know it's not him being synced up with the team, but still some good growth coming out from this mid laner, as we are still looking for him and Kenvi to get on the same page, and watching them be on the same page in the cross-map situation. That is a nice sign for 100 Thieves.
It is, and we kind of talked about that earlier, like, oh, we should see this. This is probably going to happen. But we haven't seen it most of this game because how well this bot lane of 100 Thieves has been doing. Wixie and Busio. That's why we keep highlighting them. They got Kenvi down there after they had already made a play beforehand so they can continue that domination. Jimian has been having the freest time of his life. Just like, all right, cool. All I have to do is clear up minion waves. I'm playing PvE. Perfect.
And I think why we keep on highlighting Wixie and Busio, it's just that it's a surprise for us. Like, when you think of 100 Thieves Academy and their roster being in 4th, I think that before the season started, you'd be like, oh, you know what? They're probably in 4th because off of Kenvi and Jimian, right? Or off of Kenvi being able to play around Gamsu. But it's the rookies that have really been essential in making sure that 100 Thieves Academy are in this position. And that's one of the reasons it's so interesting, as I do have to pause because TSM are setting a trap.
Nice flash, though, from Jimian. The Everfrost used. Envy's got to be careful. That's a lot of damage. Flash himself with the damage from the ace in the hole. Nearly taking down Takeover,
no.
so Jimian can easily get set up for his own kill onto Hyper next in the book. Double kill comes in. Shen Yi's down 2. 3 are dead top lane.
They were already set up as they were trying to get Baron control. I think they read TSM like a book one more time, and Mad Magical, that should be the Baron if 100 Thieves wants it, but instead, might be trying to clear the inner.
Need it?
Do they? All right, here we go.
Okay, there we go. I was about to say, do they even need it right now? Because they've got good wave clear with Caitlyn, Lux, Victor. The only one who's really there in the base to match them is Instinct. Then he's just respawning now. All this time, it's just been 3 members on the Baron, so Jimian can push down this tier 2, get it really low, forcing Instinct here, and then after they get the Baron, they can reset, push down mid.
You know what, Mad Magical? Sometimes it's not about needs, it's about wants.
Well,
I want the Baron.
Well, why would you want the Baron? It doesn't give you combat stats. Anyways, let's look at the replay.
All right, taking a second look at this. You can see it. TSM's in desperation mode at this point, and I think something I want to highlight is Jimmy in that early flash. It just shows that he understands that the enemy team is in desperation mode, and just taking away that opportunity for them to chain stun him as you see him down. I really like the respect being shown from Jimmy, and it's just a good knowledge of what the game state is, and I think that's why that play just turns on its head and becomes yet another winning play for 100 Thieves Academy as they try and wrap this one up.
By the way, I got messages about what the old name for Luxalt was.
Okay.
Benalis Funkelin.
That was the German name.
Yeah. No, that was the name. It was the name in all languages. It was just the German name. Anyways, again, gotta put that on pause because every time we talk about it, Gamsu gets ganked in the bot lane. Hiding back yet again. Trying to get away with the ult coming in. No, it's just gonna be Viper barely surviving. Almost was taken down by the turret.
At this point, TSM, they're just trying to get an objective bounty. On the flip side, 100 Thieves. That's going to be the inhibitor turret falling in the mid lane. And now the top lane is Wixie and Busio. See if they stick around for this inhibitor to rotate over. Either way, still 100 Thieves dominating on the map. As you mentioned, Mad Magical, at the start of this game, you wanted to see some more consistency out of them. I know that TSM is a team that we expected them to beat. Good to see 100 Thieves doing it here.
They are playing very consistently. Every single one of their lanes. Gamsu, you were worried about at the beginning of the day. Look at that. Eating up another tank. And even if he died in the previous one, how much time he burned from TSM so his team could push down these objectives. Kenvi doing a great job of punishing this bot lane, getting Wixie and Busio to continue to stumble out of control. Even Jimian just got to relax in mid lane. Now 2-0 and 1 after that top lane play. And that damage onto Hyper just from the support of Busio shows the impact that this 100 Thieves squad has at the moment.
And forces the ult out of him as well, as that's all 100 Thieves Academy needs to take that mid inhibitor. Now the bot inhibitor turret's falling, the top inhibitor's falling.
Oh, this is shambles.
And yeah, TSM's base now, just like that, it's gone.
Oh, that looks like a pick potential onto Wixie. They got one. That's a big play for the team of TSM at the moment, but they got to be careful. They're getting poked out by Busio.
Hyper?
Even if you've gotten Wixie, you always got to be careful of the poke coming in from these mages. Hyper was nearly taken down, but the final inhibitor is gone. The final Nexus turret now being sieged by 100 Thieves.
Oh.
Instinct using Gale Force to get away, but this game has been over for a while, Cubby. We saw that 100 Thieves got control in the bot lane, they got control in the jungle, then top, then mid. Everything has worked out so well for them in this game. Even Kenvi kiting back, getting the kill for Busio, and a rampage to boot. TSM, that's it. You lost this game. Now on to the next one.
That was one of the most one-sided games we've seen in Academy so far, and I know the second round robin, 100 Thieves, it's a team that we expected to be very high up in our standings. Keep in mind, they were in the finals for both Academy playoffs and Proving Grounds where they won. With that Proving Grounds roster, Gamsu, Kenvi, they're back. I know Luger Poom and Ryoma were also a big part of that team, but we like the prospects that they picked up. We thought that this team could really have a good performance in Academy, and it's good to see them continue to come together throughout this season as TSM. On the flip side, I know that Shenyi is an addition for this week and still really trying to work on that comm structure, but still some of the struggles for TSM, at least that we've seen throughout the season, at least showing in this first game as well.
Yeah, there definitely are some communication issues that we need to see, not just from the bot lane, but from a lot of other aspects of TSM Academy at the moment. Hopefully, they're going to be able to fix a lot of those, especially when you go to a break. That's the great thing about Best of Twos. You see what went wrong, what you can fix, how you can fix it, and possibly even be able to take a game over 100 Thieves Academy.
I mean, they're going to need to go back to the drawing board quite a bit. I know that's something I was critical of with TSM and Hyper and Yursam, or how the jungle and support work together. One way to work on that is playing Yuumi. That is actually something that you can do, right? You're forced to kind of be with your jungler, especially in the mid game. I know that it didn't work out for TSM there because 100 Thieves kind of broke their game plan really early in the game, but I like seeing some of the different looks from TSM Academy. I know that Shenyi playing is, of course, a different player, so that may force some of the different looks as well, but I think that the big story for TSM is that they just haven't come together in this early season, and we still aren't seeing much of a game plan, and kind of watching their map and their base crumble. That's been the majority of TSM Academy games this season, so I still am looking out for, where are those areas they can push in the early game? Where are those areas they can try and work together as a team? Because that one, I know that they got down really far behind 100 Thieves early, but that's also from good reads and good play from Kenvi that Hyper just wasn't able to keep up with, and from there, 100 Thieves were able to make those dominoes topple rather quickly.
I got to give a lot of credit to all of 100 Thieves. They looked really clean in that game all across the board, and that's why they took game one in our best of two. We're going to toss to a break. When we come back, we'll have our lovely host here for the halftime show, so make sure you stick around.
Hello, everyone. I am the Academy Anger Translator, and today I'm going to be helping one of our esteemed guests walk through some interesting plays. Stay tuned.
Alright, so it looks like FlyQuest is starting Baron. 5 first people are up on enemy team.
You think you can just start Baron? This is our house!
Jarvan is baiting. Rakan misses W and dies and gets one shot.
If you can't dodge a wrench, well, you're just out of luck, Rakan!
Orianna gets like a 2-man ult.
My boy coming through with the shockwave!
And I guess we mechanically outclassed them. And maybe they missed position.
Mechanically outclassed? More like straight up outmatched. They missed position so hard they were looking for a subway station in the middle of Kansas.
We are level 1 invading. Olaf versus Evelyn. We're trying to get her off the wolves.
You see, we wanted an early lead. You know, a snowball of sorts. Especially because it's a stinking Evelyn.
We get off the wolves, but I get hooked by their bot lane.
There must be a glint on my screen or something. Because there's no way he hit that hook.
We're taking the fight on the right side. But I'm 1 HP, so out the flash.
I just took a defensive flash. It's the best way to flash, right?
Alright, looks like they're full HP and they're engaging on us.
These fools thought they could engage on us?
Leona's 1 HP. Jarvan looks like he's coming up to try to help.
And then, they thought they could send help?
Looks like they want to set up for a dive. Both soul lanes are showing on enemy team. They are staying, so we're gonna try to dive. Braum misses Q.
Joke's on them. They did bring enough firepower. How do you miss that Q, bruh?
But Jarvan ults and then heals the Aphelios, and they get a successful dive.
You just plain don't want that smoke, now do ya?